Welcome everybody to our special edition Monday night shiur, we say. And tonight is a very special night. It's Rosh Chodesh Adar. Mishenichnas Adar, Marabim, B'simcha. I saw a beautiful
leap year, right?
It's a leap year this year, so we have 60 days of Adar, and I'm going to tell you some significance. I don't know where the person got it from. I don't like to quote things that I never seen inside. When we were younger, when we were in Kollel, if somebody would ask us a question in Halacha, we were all jumping to answer the question. When you get older, you understand, Ha-hediot kofetz barosh. The idiot jumps first to answer the question. Like it says by Esther in the Megillah, who answered first when Achashverosh says, what should I do with Vashti? Haman jumped first to answer the question. So the Gemara says, Hediot kofetz barosh. The hediot is the idiot. He jumps first to always say, I know everything. He always is yapping. I know. Chacham enav berosho. Ro'eh tanolad. He sees what's going to be the result of his actions. He keeps quiet. Siag lechokhma, shtika. Somebody asks a question these days, say, wait. Let's find it in the sefer. Let's wait a second. So therefore, a person always has to be matun in life, has to have some patience. So our shiur tonight, Lichvot Sudat Rosh Chodesh, and the shiur is going to be, first of all, L'Refuah Shlema. We have a constant donor who always gives every single week to give for the shiurim, like a Birkat Harav. His brother is in the hospital, so may he have Refuah Shlema, Shlomo ben Leah. And also to him, Yisrael ben Leah, his wife Michal bat Chana, his kids Yosef Chaim, Abigail Tamar, Elisheva Chana, Sarah Rivka, B'nai Michal, may they have bracha v'atzlacha nishoot gedolot. Also our shiur is sponsored Leilui Nishmat Menachem ben Mazal Ruach Hashem Tenichu Began Eden.
Amen.
Teheh nishmatot tzrura b'tzror ha'chaim. Amen. Tzror ha'chaim is a level above Gan Eden. There is Gan Eden Hatachton. There's a lower Gan Eden, says the Ari in Shar Membet. There is Gan Eden Ha'elyon, which is in the world of Bria. Then there's a place called Tzror ha'chaim. Person who gets to Tzror ha'chaim, he can never come back down here. Not even as an ibur, not as even to help his shorshe neshamot. He comes down here. That's only a person who's in Gan Eden. So I was learning today. We have a Shar Gilgulim shiur every Sunday. May the person who learns with me find his zivug b'mhera, and Hashem should have a lot of rachamim on him. And we were learning about the nishamot that come down here to help people. Everyone has inside of him nishamot that help him. It's called iburim. For example, we're going to learn today about Parshat Terumah. But for example, all of us have it. Suddenly you have a feeling you want to do a mitzvah. Suddenly you have a feeling, I want to give tzedakah right now. Suddenly you have a feeling, I want to learn this specific book. It's only because that neshama, that mechaber, that author, is trying to help you connect to his neshama to help you. So everything that you do in life, the shul that you pray in, the yeshiva that you send your kids to, everything is connected to get you to a place called Tzror HaChaim. What's Tzror HaChaim? When David HaMelech, when he went to kill Naval, a Carmeli, he was his cousin, as we said last week's shiur. Abigail, his wife, which was really meant to marry David, he marries her after Naval dies. She tells him, may your soul be in Tzror HaChaim. May it be, you know what Tzror HaChaim is? May it be stamped in the life. May it be stuck in life. What does that mean? When a person is born to this world, he's born. Inside of you have many sparks. You're not like God. God is oneness. He's a singularity. Echad, he's one. He's Yachid. What's Yachid? He's single. He's Miyuchad. He's special. What does that mean? Basically, Enod Milvado. He's not made up of pieces. God is not made up of certain kind of pieces. We are made up of pieces. Even though you look at yourself, you say, I'm Abraham, I'm Shalom, I'm one piece. You're not one piece. Because Chas Shalom, somebody would cut off his arm, he'd still say, he's Abraham. Would he call his hand? He wouldn't. His hand is separate from him right now. God is not like that. God has no separate pieces. God is one. He's a singular force. That's called the Ein Sof. The Ein Sof Baruch Hu. When he wanted to create us as humans, to be with Him. Why did God create us? What's the first mitzvah in the Torah? Pruruhu, to get married, right? To get pruruhu, what do you have to do? To be in a relationship, right? So God wanted kabuta be in a relationship because He's alone. But when He's single, He's Ein Sof, who cares if He's alone? It's just Him. He's perfection. Once He created the void, then He said, let me create the perfect being. What was that? His name. First, His name. First, He created His name. Hashem Echad, Ushmo Echad. God is one, and His name is one. He created His name first. What's His name? Yud K, Vav K. From His name, He created all the beings of this world. And from all the beings, He chose the most delicate being. The most delicate. Not the most powerful, not the strongest, not the smartest. You know, I hate when they send those messages on WhatsApp. Oh, the Jews got the most Nobel prizes. The Jews have the highest high tech. The Jews have the highest this. That's not something to be proud of. Hashem says, why did I pick you? Ki atem hame'ad bikol ha'amim. Because you're the smallest out of all the nations. You're the rarest. You're gonna give your wife a present, a rock necklace. What is she gonna tell you? Take this rock and put it somewhere else. If you give her a diamond necklace, what is she gonna say? Zeh chashuv.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking over here. Some women, diamond necklaces are not enough. They need the whole thing to be that. All depends on the hierarchy of the nishamot. So, we Jews, kabutabi, we're the rarest of all peoples. Why? Not in our zechut. Ahavti etchem, Hashem said, I love you. Why? Ahavti et Yaakov. I love Jacob. I love Yaakov Avinu. Why? Yaakov Avinu only had one idea in his mind. Yaakov ishtam yoshev oalim. Something is going bad in a person's life, this, that, he has to be like Yaakov Avinu. Run to where? Yaakov Yoshev Ohalim. Where's the Ohel? What's the Ohel? The Beis Medrash. He's in the Beis Medrash. Go to the Beis Medrash. Go to the Beit HaMikdash. Go to the Mishkan. That's this week's parasha. Go daven. Not daven. Learn Torah. Learning Torah is like water on a person's neshama. It energizes you. Trust me. When we were younger, we said, what's learning Torah? We used to have in yeshiva Mishmar. We used to learn till 8 o'clock Thursday nights. Oh my God, we have to go to Mishmar. Today, we're running to go to Mishmar. Why? When you get older, you understand. All the goyot, all the klipot. Klipot, giving a code word for the letter, starts with the letter Z. Zebras. All the drugs that are legal today. All the smoke, all that stuff, it doesn't last. But when you come home after a shir of Torah, you feel good. You don't know why. Because your neshama wants where it came from. It wants where... Lahavdil, once when I was younger, I was a little bit, we're all young. We went to a hookah lounge. Hookah shmuka, hookah puka, shpika pik. So we all went. We're all smoking in the hookah lounge. Everybody's over there like a chiloni. I was born with a kippah. I came in with a kippah. Anyways, I came home. I couldn't breathe for 3 days. For 3 days, I couldn't breathe. I'm like, I'm never going into a hookah lounge again. I'm done. Hashem made me a chesed. The first time I went in was the last time I went in. Some people don't have that siyat d'shmaya. You need siyat d'shmaya. A person to have siyat d'shmaya, he needs to have koach. Where does those kochot come from? I'll give you an example. Before we get into the terumah, to make me a sanctuary, to make me a place to live in. Hashem says, make me a place. Va'asu li migdash. And this parasha is all about shalom bayit. This week's parasha is all about peace in the house. Unfortunately, many people who get married today, they go to chatan classes. What's a chatan class? He learns Hilchot Nida. Hilchot Taharat HaMishpacha. Right? What to do, what not to do, what to touch, v'chule v'chule. But he doesn't learn how to be, how to act, how to... Now, katonti mikol chasadim. I'm the last person to speak about these things. I'm not going to come here and tell you I'm some expert. But we see from this week's parasha some special powers, some special advices on how to deal, how to make your house a Beit HaMikdash. Why? It's a proof. It's mamish. There's no proof that this is it. The Gemara says the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. It was destroyed. We had once upon a time a Mizbeach. We had, what's a Mizbeach? An altar. Remember the Mizbeach HaNechoshet? Betzalel ben Uri ben Chur lematei Yehuda. He built a Mizbeach. That's the main thing, right? When Mashiach comes, what's the first thing he's going to build? The Mizbeach. No, Beit HaMikdash is going to come last. The actual building is going to come last. First he puts a table inside. What's the table? The Mizbeach. That's the first thing. When the Jews came back in the second Beit HaMikdash, they came up with two very strong men. One of them I'm very enamored with. I learned because I try to finish Tanakh once a year. I try. So one of them is called Zerubbabel ben Shaltiel Tachat Yehuda, which Hashem calls him, you are my stamp in this world. I told you guys the story how he was born, right? His grandfather Yehoiachin or Yechoniah HaMelech, he was a Rasha Merusha. He was taken by Nebuchadnezzar to Galut. And back then, jails were not like today, where you're sitting with your, you get education. In jails today, you get an education. You're sitting, you know. Some people go to jail on purpose. With the bail law, they can't go to jail on purpose. So they try to do as many crimes as possible. So Yechoniah HaMelech was in jail. Now the jail by then was a tzinok. You know what a tzinok is? It's a
solitary.
But you could only stand in there. You can't sit. You can't do nothing. You're in a tzinok. But the Chachamim, they convinced Nebuchadnezzar. They said, "Listen, you destroyed the Beit HaMikdash, but let him procreate because we're going to lose the line of Shlomo HaMelech from David. We're going to lose that line." For some reason, the Nebuchadnezzar agreed for him to procreate, and he was not makpid in Hilchot Nidah for the love of God. His father Yehoiakim, the Gemara says in Masechet Sanhedrin that he tattooed the name of Avodah Zarah on his Brit Milah. So you could imagine that his son Yechoniah HaMelech was not growing up in the greatest of the kosher of houses, right? No, I wouldn't say not kosher. You can understand their Yetzer Hara. Anyways, Nebuchadnezzar allowed his wife to come down, and back then the jail was in a pit. Like he says, they threw Yosef in the bor. And the bor means in the pit. So they lowered her down, and for some reason, he had a change of tshuva in there. He had tshuva. So Yechoniah HaMelech asked his wife, "Are you a nida? Did you go to the mikveh?" And she said, "I did not go to the mikveh." "Why are you asking suddenly?" He said, "I'm not gonna procreate. I'm not gonna do anything with you." So they had to bring her back up. She counted 7 clean days. She went to the mikveh, then they brought her back down. And then, from the first night, she got pregnant right away. And from then, they had a son called Sha'altiel. Sha'altiel had a son called Zerubbabel. Now, the Gemara in Sanhedrin says Zerubbabel is really Nehemiah. Nehemiah ben Chachaliah, or Nehemiah Tirshata, was a very special human being. He built Yerushalayim. What happened was when the Jews came back to Yerushalayim, what did they find in East Jerusalem? Till today we have them over there.
Bedouins.
Kakoi Bedouins. Fatah, Hamas, living over there. Mamash, the Goyim were living over there. So he had a tzav, a decree from the king, Koresh. He said, "Listen, you guys got to get out of here." From Darius, actually. Darius II. He said, "Get out, you guys got to get out of here." There was a big war going on over there. Not a fight war, a political war. And Nehemiah defeated them, but he made one mistake. See, with big neshamot, we have to thank Hashem sometimes we're not big neshamot. Because the smallest mistake they do, it makes a big impact on their whole shorish. On the whole shorish. What was his mistake? He did on the whole book of Nehemiah. He keeps on telling God, "Remember me that I did good for your nation. Remember me that I did good for your nation." Zochra Hashem alay letovah. Now, what tovah he did? He built Yerushalayim. He was me'ached Yerushalayim. He built the walls. He made the city of David. He built it again. He was Mashiach, by the way. It says the Ari HaKadosh. Zerubbabel was Mashiach. It says in the Navi. Chagai, Zechariah, and Malachi. The last 3 Nevi'im that we had. But yet Hashem said, because you kept on saying, Zachra Hashem alay letovah. Remember it for me to the good. We could all take a very big lesson to this in our life. When you do a mitzvah, don't keep on saying to Hashem, remember what I did. I did so much in my life. I did so good in my life. I did what I had to do in my life. You don't owe Hashem anything, and Hashem doesn't owe you anything. You guys are in a relationship. When you're married to your wife, you're going to tell your wife, "You owe me, I brought bread home this week." Or vice versa, you're not going to tell her that. Why? You guys are in a relationship together. Kabuta bi Hashem Yitbarach made the void so you could come down here. But everything is really Him. But that's the paradox. The paradox is an oxymoron. That means, how is everything Him? But yet He created a being that's not Him. What's the answer? Only a finite mind could understand that. That's the truth. Only the infinite could create a rock that He can't pick up. That's the truth. You can't understand it any other way. Only the infinite could create something that He can't pick up. If He says He can't pick it up, that means He can't pick it up. If He says you're with me in this world, now what's Mashiach Tzidkenu? What's the Zman of Mashiach? The Zman of Mashiach comes when we are ready to understand that everything is from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's no more what we call Natziach Deshmaya. There's Hashgacha Prati. People always looking for stories of Hashgacha Prati. Yes, Gabriel? We want to always know stories. How this happened to this guy, that happened to this guy, and everything was so perfect. Correct? Correct? That's called a nes that's not galui. The nes that's ganuz. A nes that's, that's hidden. When Mashiach is going to come, He's going to make us ready. How is He going to make us ready? He's going to show us that all those nisim that happened in your life, those were not nisim ginuzim. Those were nisim giluyim. Person is driving on a road, the snowy roads. You know how many nisim happen to you? You know how many accidents happen outside today? Do you know how many accidents? Dozens of dozens just in the New York tri-state area. And the Jewish people that go out, they have a hashgacha elokit. I remember when I was in Kollel. You were with me back then. I don't know if you were with me at that moment. I came outside the Bet HaKnesset where we were learning. There was a Kollel upstairs. And 2 goyim come out over there. You Bukharian Jews, you're the biggest. Mamash, like just came out of Germany. Mamash, an anti-Semite. Who saves us from these people? What stops these Rishayim to come out of there with a gun and just start shooting? What stops them?
Sure.
The Gemara says only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Every second we're walking out there, it's mamash, it's a nes. We are, Rabbi Isai, let's just make a small mathematical equation. We're 15 million, let's say 16 million. And close to 8 billion people in the world. You know what that percentage is? I'm not a percentage man over here. But that's like 0.01, maybe 0.001%. Couple more zeros. We're nothing in the world, but everybody keeps on talking about us. Why? We live in the middle. We're the truma of the world. Vaikhu li truma. When did Hashem give the commandment of giving a teruma? When did Hashem, Gabriel, give the commandment? There's a machloket. One pshat is He gave the mitzvah after we got the second luchot. Right? They made the egel hazahav. When was that? The 16th of Tammuz. Moshe came down on the Shiva Asar. That's a fast day, right? Why is it a fast day? Not because we made an egel. If the egel was the reason why we would fast, why would we fast? When would we fast? On the 16th of Tammuz we would fast. When did we really fast? On the 17th. Why? Because that was later Moshe broke the luchot. Because when a Rebbe says to the student, you're not ready, that's worse than when the student is off the derech. When a Rebbe tells the student, I can't handle you anymore, that's much worse when the student says that I'm off the derech, because a Rebbe can handle everything. But when the Rebbe cannot handle the student, it's a very tough thing for the student, because the student always knows, I can go back to the Rebbe, when Moshe Rabbeinu said to Klal Yisrael, I can't handle you guys anymore. And by doing that, he broke, the Leshem Shova Achlama says, Rabbi Shlomo Elyashiv, the grandfather of Rabbi Yosef Shalom Gadaev, he said in his book, Sefer HaDe'ah, when he broke the first Luchot, infinity died. We were supposed to live forever. There was no Yetzer Hara. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh says, who sinned in the Egel Hazav? Who sinned? Not us. We didn't sin. The Erev Rav sinned. It says, open up the Orach Chaim. It wasn't us. We didn't say anything. We didn't do anything. We didn't know the mitzvah of Tochecha. We didn't know how to give Tochecha. How, the mitzvah of Tochecha is such a, the Mishnah Berurah, when he writes on mitzvah of Tochecha, the Gemara, what it writes, Masechet Erechim, mitzvah Tochecha, it's not simple to criticize a person. But that generation was punished because of that. They didn't give mitzvah. Today I was contemplating this idea while I was praying this year. The Gemara says in Masechet Sanhedrin, the Dora Midbar is not going to come back. The Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin, the Dora Midbar, what's Dora Midbar? Moshe Rabbeinu, Nachshon ben Aminadav, Nadav v'Avihu, they're not going to come back. To what they're not going to come back, Avraham? To what? To what? So, Pshat, they're not going to come back Mashiach. To the time of Mashiach. There is Mefarshim that says, no, they're not going to come back in Olam Haba. They're not going to get resurrected.
Really?
Why not?
What? I love that. That's what I'm looking for. You see? What do you mean? They're not going to come back? And I'm contemplating this idea all day. I'm trying to think of an answer without looking at Mefarshim. Rabbi Yehuda Aftaya says, try to think of answers to the kashas of the Mefarshim by yourself. Don't always look for the Mefarshim's answers. Always try to look about it for yourself. Maybe sometimes you're mekaven to the Mefarshim. I didn't look at all the Mefarshim, obviously, but I'll tell you one thing for sure. When they says they're not going to come back, it's a very sad thing. Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol, Rabbi Akiva's Rebbe, said they are going to come back. They are going to come back. What does Rabbi Akiva say? They're not coming back. They're not coming back. So the Gemara says what? Rabbi Akiva left his chasidut. He was a big chassid, Rabbi Akiva. He was a very big Rahman. He was very merciful. How did he leave it? The pshat is, I think the pshat is, my chidush is, that the Dor HaMidbar, as big their power was, that their big responsibility was. When you have a big neshama, you have to answer for what you got. Even if they didn't do the Egel Hazav, even if they didn't test Hashem 10 times, it was the Erev Rav the whole time, but you're responsible. You're responsible. You are the head. And if you're the head, you get caught in the Avera of the whole community.
So what were they living for if they don't come back?
What they're living for? For the next Gilgulim. According to Rabbi Akiva, at least. Not according to Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol. Rabbi Eliezer says they are going to come back. Rabbi Eliezer, you like that. You sound... Phew. Maybe you're that. How do you know? By the way, you don't know anything. I was learning Sefer Gilgulim. I was seeing Gilgulim over there at Rav Chaim Vital Road. Regular people, you never heard of them in your life. You know what kind of neshamot they were? You know what kind of neshamot they were? You don't know who you are. You don't know your capabilities. You don't know when you put on tefillin the kavanah you have who you're metaken in shamayim. You don't know. You have the capability of being a Gaon Olam. Gaon Olam doesn't mean that everybody's going to say, do, you're on Kikar Shabbat. It doesn't mean you're a Gaon Olam. Gaon Olam means that in HaKadosh Baruch I have a book called Misharim Megid. In that book it says over there, there were tzaddikim, they were nechshav b'shamayim. You never heard of their names, bichalal. I know of tzaddikim. I'm a tzaddik hunter. I'm a tzaddik hunter. I know tzaddikim you never heard of in your life. They were tzaddikim. They used to make miracles like in the time of the Tanaim. They lived maybe 150 years ago. I know of tzaddikim. I know of a tzaddik, Rav Yitzchak Jabra. I learned under his nephew in Williamsburg for a small amount of time. Rav Yitzchak Jabra, he used to go to the mikveh even after he used to... I don't want to give you guys any ideas. I'm not trying to give you guys any ideas. But he used to go to the mikveh even after he used to do number one. That's what kind of Kiddusha they used to have. We're not in that level. We don't have to be in that level. When we go to when they're going to ask us in Shemaim who you were or what you were, they're not going to ask you, how come you weren't Moshe Rabbeinu? Who says, Rav Zusha Me'ani Poli? He says, you're going to ask you, how come you weren't you? And you know what you are is you're a connection in the chain. Without you, the whole chain is not a chain. I remember, when was Gush Katif? When the Jews from Gush Katif were taken out. The Jews from Gush Katif. 2000 and No, Gush Katif, when the Jews were thrown out of that place in Gaza. Yeah, they were thrown out with Ariel Sharon.
About 15 years ago.
How many years? 2004? Something like that?
About 15 years ago.
About 15 years ago. I remember they made a human chain.
Yeah.
From Gaza
Yeah.
till Yerushalayim. The first person that was holding the chain from Gaza was the first person to come into Gaza, into the Gush Katif, as a Jew, to make Hityashvut. And the last person touching the Kotel in Yerushalayim, you know who that was? His great-grandchild. Do you know what kind of chain that was? That was a chain of Gidulah. That was a chain of Kiddusha. That was a chain of Torah. That was a chain of, you know what that chain was? I want to ask you guys a question. We talked about Shimshon HaGibor last week. I'm going to go off on a little tangent right now. Shimshon HaGibor. Remember we said that he was a Gilgul of who? We remember. Who was Shimshon? Nadav, right? Nadav. What it says over there, he was Bedan. The Torah calls him Bedan. Bedan Otiot Nadav. Correct? Check this out. Shimshon HaGibor, it says over there, he was Tochen Bevet HaAsurim. What does that mean? Tochen Bevet HaAsurim. Pashat Pshat, he was holding a mill, and he was grinding the mill all the time he was in jail. But really, the Pshat is, Chas v'shalom, Chas v'shalom, Chas v'shalom, that the Goyim would send their wives, because you know, they're hefker by them, to do zebra acts with Shimshon, so they could get pregnant with Shimshon's kids. Okay? So, B'lashon Nikiya, in a clean, I don't know what else to say. I always try to talk B'lashon Nikiya because, by the way, our generation, our tikkun is, all the Chachamim say this is Lashon Hara. The tikkun of our generation is Lashon Hara. Today in our generation, there are no secrets, there's no privacy anymore. Everything is out in the open. It's good and it's bad in a way. Let's not get in a tangent, but we need to know how to not speak about other people in our life. That's besides the point. Now, this Shimshon HaGibor, when he was Tochen Vet Asurim, I saw in a book. You guys don't know this Mikubal. I know him. It's called, the Sefer is called, I think it's called Chai Elef Olamot. Chai Elef Olamot. Or, it's called, I'm not sure which Sefer, I know the author, but I'm not sure which book he wrote this in. Or it's called Keset Yehonatan. Keset Yehonatan. He writes in this book, Shimshon made the same mistake as Shlomo HaMelech. What was the same mistake? Why did Shlomo marry 1,000 wives? 300 wives, 700 concubines. Wow! How did he even keep the mikvah nights over there? That's like you had to be on the. That's a big tikkun over there. Why did he do that? Now the Torah says, the Navi says in Melachim that most of them were fake converts. They were fake. They were fake converts. They were the beginning of the destruction of Klal Yisrael by putting in Avodah Zarah in Yerushalayim. There's a Gemara in Sanhedrin that the rabbis wanted to put King Solomon, Shlomo HaMelech, in the list of the kings that have no Olam Haba. What? You don't look surprised over there. You're surprised. Yeah, so I heard you. They wanted to put him in the list that have no Olam Haba.
The blacklist.
And the blacklist. Till David HaMelech came down to the Sanhedrin, and they said to the Sanhedrin, it's a Gemara in Sanhedrin. I don't remember that down, but it's in Sanhedrin. And the parak has who has no Olam Haba. It says over there that King David, please, for my son, for my honor, I vouch for him. It wasn't what you think it was. The Sanhedrin told David HaMelech, we don't listen to bat calls over here. He did whatever he did. And then the Shekhinah, God's divine presence itself, burnt the seat that the Sanhedrin were sitting on, and they said, wow, we're not going to touch Shlomo HaMelech. Shir Hashirim Asher L'Shlomo Kodesh Kodeshim. We're not going to touch Shlomo HaMelech. However, there was a hava, to put Shlomo HaMelech on the
hot seat.
Well, he said it better, the black place. Well, what was the pshat? Shlomo and Shimshon made the same mistake. Who am I to say that? But just to give you guys what was the mistake? What's the last problem in Eretz Yisrael today? Who's the biggest problem? Hamas. Hamas lives where? In Gaza. Where was Shimshon killed? In Gaza. Shimshon wanted to make a tikkun in Gaza. He wanted to fix Gaza. He wanted to make sure that he finished the whole job. He wanted to take all the responsibility on himself. So he was tochen bebet ha'asurim. He was trying to fix the nitzotzot in Gaza. But it didn't help. Shlomo HaMelech was even bigger. By marrying every princess, says the Ari, all those 1,000 wives, what were they? They were princesses of different nations. By marrying 1,000 princesses, he was taking the head of every country. The head is the source of all their sparks. If they have a ger somewhere in them, he wanted to take that in himself. But he wasn't ready as a kli. He wasn't ready as a vessel, so it broke apart. And that eventually turned into the Chorban Beit HaMikdash. Sometimes when you're not ready for the tikkun will break you. When you are a Baal Tshuva, we're all Baalei Tshuva over here, buddy. We're all Baalei Tshuva, me included. Every day I'm a Baal Tshuva. I go to sleep, I say Ana, I wake up in the morning, I'm a Baal Tshuva. Sometimes when I go to sleep, even with saying Ana, I'm still not a Baal Tshuva. I wake up in the morning, I say, you know what? Now I'm a Baal Tshuva. We have to understand, we can't take upon ourselves more than we could handle. Step by step. Same thing in a marriage. When a person gets married, he cannot fantasize he's marrying a perfect person, whether it's the woman or the man. You're not in a fantasy. Everybody needs work. King Solomon says, "Re'ech chayim im ha'isha asher lakachta." See life in the woman that you see. What does it mean, see life? Not you have life in the woman that you see. See life in the woman that you see. What does it mean, see life? You have to look for it.
For the positive.
You have to look for it. I heard one very famous, Vasuli Mikdash v'shachanti betocham. I heard a very famous Jewish marriage counselor, therapist counselor. I don't really like to say therapist counselor. I'm not so into that. But let's say, I heard his shir, it was during the pandemic. During the pandemic, there was a lot of divorces. I don't like to say that word. The D word. During the pandemic, there was a lot of separations, let's call it, because people had to live together in the same house, seeing each other all the time, and it was, they weren't used to that. So he said, I saw in successful marriages a mikdash, let's call it a mikdash. 3 things that they did that caused them to have a successful marriage. Number 1, they never took the fight to the next day. You never, even if you're right and she's wrong, you're never allowed to take the fight to the next day. That's what Hashem does. Why does Hashem tell us to say Ana and Kriyas Shema Lamita? You ever think about that? Well, Hashem's going to forgive us that night, yes.
Guaranteed.
He's the bigger one in the relationship. He's the bigger one in the relationship. When you say Ana in the night before going to sleep, he forgives you. It's like a husband forgives the wife. Or vice versa. Who knows who's the bigger one in the relationship? Sometimes it's the opposite. Who knows? Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. But you're never allowed to hold a grudge. You have to accept a person for... You're never going to change your spouse. It's not going to happen. Forget about it. It's never going to happen. Lo haya, lo hoveh, v'gam lo yeh. You're never going to change each other. It will never happen. You have to accept them who they are. You marry them, you got to stick with them. Number 2, second thing, it's not my words. I'm giving you a summary of what that. And by the way, this is a shiur of Y.Y. Jacobson. You guys know he's one of the most sought after speakers in the Jewish world today. Number 2, he said, you're never allowed to mention the word divorce in your house. It's not allowed to be mentioned. When you say that word plants a seed. That God never says in the Torah, I will divorce you. I will never let you go. We see it from the Torah itself. When the Jews said to Hashem, where you say you're done with, God says, where is the get? In the book of Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu Hanavi, he says, Hashem says, where is the get? Where is the get that I gave you? Who said I gave you a get? Maybe I'm upset. It doesn't mean I gave you a get. So we see from here, just saying the word, God never says the word Yerushin to Klal Yisrael. And number 3, this is what he said. He said that there is one thing that the Torah points out in the beginning of Adam and Chava's journey together, and that is the fact that he points it out. God means that this is a problem in every relationship. Al ken ya'azov ish et aviv ve'imo ve'davak be'ishto ve'hayu lebasar echad. A man must leave his father and mother and stick to his wife and be one flesh, which means when you get into a fight with your spouse, you're never allowed to mention the parents. These 3 things. Don't let the fight go to the next day. Don't plant the seed of that word, of the get. And number 3, do not mention the parents. Why can't you mention the parents in a fight? Why? No. Because your neshama is made from your parents. So automatically when you attack your spouse's parents, what do they feel like you're attacking? Themselves. That's why even the worst Jew, when you attack God in front of him, he feels offended. He doesn't believe in God. But you attacked his heritage. What do you care? You don't believe you're an agnostic. You believe in everything. No, you attacked his heritage. Because you never forget the source that you came from. Va'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham. Make yourself a mikdash. The mizbeach that King Solomon did is today where? In your house. Mizbeach mechaper, shulchan mechaper, says the Gemara. What's the shulchan? Your table. You eat food in your table? You eat food in your table? That's the mizbeach. The Gemara is not making up stuff. It's saying divarim kedor banut. Your table is the mizbeach. If your table is the mizbeach, then where's the kodesh HaKodashim?
Your house.
Your bedroom. If your bedroom is the kodesh HaKodashim, then what are your kids? Your kids is the Shechina. Your wife is the Shechina. Giving one small shiur about this is not going to make a difference. We have to learn to integrate it in our lives. But we have to understand that our life, we're living here in 70 years. Be'im begvurot, shmonim. What's verach haba mamal ba'avet? That's the rest of the pasuk. After 80, person doesn't already care about life. He's done. He's done. After 80, you're done. After 80, you're done. After 80, the food doesn't have taste anymore. The hours yotzim in a cloud. A person has to understand, to make yourself a sanctuary, you must habituate yourself in what we're saying. It's not an easy thing. As a teacher, I'm telling you, it's not an easy thing. I'm a teacher. You know how hard it is for me to habituate myself to my students in class? It's so hard. Sometimes they get into not into the vrid. Into what's that artery that the life artery over there?
Carotid.
What?
Carotid artery.
Carotid artery. I want to take it. I just want to rip it and say Kaddish Shalom. Mamash, they get into the neshama, At that moment, you guys say, Hakadosh Baruch Hu said that. You must live it. You can't just believe in it, Rabbi Isa. You have to live it. It says we have 60 days of Adar this year. If a drop of milk goes into meat, how much of the meat has to be connected to the milk? 60. May the 60 days of Adar cancel out all our averot. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.